Hotel 1, please. For some drunken beats, guys. Here we go.
When we started Better Call Saul, one of the first questions that we were asked was, who do we want to lock down from the cast of Breaking Bad? Who's going to fit into this new show as a regular? And we instantly knew it had to be Jonathan Banks.
It really excited us to learn more about Mike, to delve deeper into his story, to learn more about what makes him tick and where he comes from.
And action.
How did a guy who was a Philadelphia cop, which we know, become the right-hand man for the badass crime lord Gus Fring? And that was what led to the episode 5-0.
We figured this is going to be as close as an episode to Breaking Bad as we may ever do on Better Call Saul. There's a moment in an episode of Breaking Bad where Hank and Gomez are questioning Mike Ehrmantraut, and Hank says something about, so he used to be a Philly cop. You want to talk about that? And Mike said, no, not really. And I always wanted to see what exactly Hank and Gomez were talking about. What exactly did happen way back when in Philadelphia?
And that was when we thought about his son. And this is actually something that Jonathan pitched to us years ago. He said when he was shooting the scene, we first see him drop Kaylee off at her house, and you see a blonde lady waving.
When Vince said cut, I went over and I said to him, that's my granddaughter. That is not my daughter. I said, whatever has happened with Mike has something to do with his son.
And so we thought about his son and who his son was, and we thought about why does he feel responsibility for his son's death. And Mike may get revenge for that, and he does, but it's never going to erase what he's done.
Gordon Smith, my former assistant, that episode was his first produced episode of television, and he knocked it out of the park, did an outstanding job.
I think it was daunting because it was both my first script and it was like a kind of peculiar episode in the series and in sort of the universe. For us to get this glimpse into Mike's backstory was interesting, so I had to kind of do my best to live up to all of that at once.
Roll, please. We're rolling.
I do love writing for Mike because Mike, the challenge is always to say the absolute minimum, because he's just not a guy who's gonna talk your ear off. He's gonna do things, and so you have to kind of find the way to make him say as little as possible.
Here, I'm in a real rush. I didn't have time to get the validation.
Fine, $9.
All along through episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, we were asking the question, what's Mike doing at this time? Because we knew we had Jonathan Banks. As we were sort of mining where Saul had been, where Jimmy had been, where Mike had been, we were coming up with these bits of story ideas and images, and we worked out in detail the entirety of his son's death. Then the question is, how much do you need to tell? You need to tell like the minimum amount that's still going to tell the story and tell the story in an evocative way.
I thought Gordon and the rest of the writers had given me a love letter.
With regards to 5-0, having a chance to not just see Mike's backstory, but to have Jonathan Banks be the lead of this episode. It's not an episode about Mike as the fixer. It's an episode about Mike.
They've always been so good to me. I know they love the character of Mike. And whatever they're going to bring me, it will be their very best. I have no question about that. They love the character of Mike. I love the character of Mike.
That was really how 5-0 started, but then we got all the great details and we got to unleash sort of this other world of Philadelphia and where Mike came from, and that was just a dark kind of fun.
E-Mark, and action.
Come on, Mike, huh? Let's go. Come on.
Shooting the shootout from 106.
On action, Jonathan will fire 2 rounds into our first mark here.
It was a challenge. It was a huge challenge. We were in this, very hostile shooting location.
And let's roll, please. Roll it.
We're shooting here in what we call the Rail Yard, sort of an infamous place in Albuquerque that many things have filmed here, including Breaking Bad, back very early in its early days, shot here. And ended up sort of becoming an off-limits place to go look at because we had already established it. But in our initial meetings, it was brought up and everyone embraced it right away because it does just fit so well for what we're trying to do. And after all, we're not in Albuquerque.
Good. Check that. All right, let's do something new.
And then we started having these huge storms blow in.
At least twice a week, there's a great thunderstorm, world-class thunderstorm, just fills the whole sky with crazy colors and stuff.
The lightning was a huge factor. On episode 5 and 6, we had severe delays that actually would add days to our schedule because we couldn't finish our work.
We shut down for 30 minutes every time there's a lightning strike within 6 miles. So it adds an extra level of drama to getting the shots off. Because
Guys, pick this up from now. You stay there for a second. Mike, take us all the way through him. Turning it.
I was pretty cavalier about that, thinking, come on, the lightning's way over there, da-da-da-da. And then there was a news story about a kid that was hit miles away on a football field. And then I wasn't so cavalier about my attitude. I thought, this is smart, this is good.
Having to create snow in Albuquerque, and of course everybody goes, well, it's so hot, and well, it's not real snow. Although, a lot of times you actually do use blown ice chips, and in this instance, we obviously can't, because it would melt. So having to put it on the little ledges or on top of the parking meters or how it lays, that was really fun to see, because they do it all ahead of time, and then you show up on set. It's like, whoa. We're in Philadelphia. You turn around, no, that's Albuquerque. But here, it's Philadelphia.
Yeah, and action, guys. What do we do now? Hey, grief, it's a bitch.
So our 2 Philadelphia cops were played by Billy Malone and Lane Garrison, and they were great.
You couldn't live with it. Matt dying the way he did, it was too much for the old man. So Mike here decided to eat his gun. It's tragic, but anyone could see this coming. He's drinking himself to death. We're doing him a favor.
Their accent, their mannerisms, they really just brought so much of the East Coast into this world, that we just don't see that.
Basically what happens with my character, we end up killing Mike's son. You really see the progression of Mike's character and how he became the man he is today. Mike also was a detective, decorated detective for the Philly PD. So we've all grown up together, we've all known each other for years, so this is really a tragic scene.
Their relationship to Mike, when you first see them in the bar.
I know it was you.
And what is this building to? And you have a sense, you think you know, but you're not sure, and really would this happen? And I remember thinking, that great reveal shot that Adam does, where he comes across the cops and we see that Mike is actually completely sober and with the guns.
Smart. That's what I would have done if I were you.
And you're just like, oh, dudes, you're so screwed.
And action.
Action lane. Well, Mike serves it up really harsh, I'm like a bug crawling away, and he walks over to stomp it out and put an end to it pretty abruptly. You're gonna activate this on action?
Yes.
Okay, so I give it a beat to come out?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually try to pre-feed the blood to about here.
Right.
So that we don't have a long wait.
Okay.
And then when they call for it, we'll activate it. It'll still take a moment to come out.
Okay.
Hopefully seeing Mike's backstory in the flashback, seeing the depths to which Mike's soul has been degraded, which we sort of what we see through the flashback, will help us understand where that character's coming from. Jonathan Banks is fantastic to work with. I'm glad to say that he has not actually punched me in the heart, which is the sort of standing threat. It's awe-inspiring to just see him kind of sit there and watch him work and watch him elevate the material.
He brings a depth to this character that is so exciting, and a darkness.
He finds those moments and those deadpan eyes. With his darkness, he can be very funny.
He's one of those guys, it's like, sometimes it seems like his foot is just poised above the gas pedal, and then he just kind of lets it down like this, and it's like, ah. So don't get me started. He's a great actor.
Can we start the move towards looking at the blood? Yeah,
after the fourth shot, yes.
After the fourth shot.
You're just constantly learning from him. You're constantly learning from him, so when he's on set and when he's working, I pay attention.
You want to tell me what we're doing here?
When we shot his final day of Breaking Bad, it was tough for him to get through. He was very, very emotional. And now that we get this second chance to bring back the character of Mike, I mean, he's just, he's loving it. I'm loving it. I hope everybody enjoys seeing Mike back in action again.
You know, all through Breaking Bad, there's all this allusion to his past and something that went wrong. And it's wonderful as a writer to have that backstory brewing and that kind of intensity and pain and motivation it gives you. But it can be tricky to go, okay, now we're going to tell that story and hope that it powers everything you've seen. You know, it makes sense logically, emotionally.
His son. Is he living still? You know what I have to do as an actor? I have to go on with why am I even living? And my answer to that is because I owe his wife, I owe his wife, and there's a baby, my granddaughter out there, that I certainly owe.
Then I was down in the gutter with the rest of them. Broke my boy. I broke my boy.
We're sitting here, we're talking in such serious tones. And I understand that it's make-believe. And I love, but I love the artistry of that world.